Welcome to CalGIS Webinar number 3, Part 2. During the original recording of this webinar, we had difficulties with my microphone and my sound was not picked up. So we have edited the video down to include only the parts where Peter and Quentin from GENI were speaking on the webinar. Please enjoy what follows. Thank you.
Sure. I'm a local San Diegan, born and raised here, and graduated at the University of California, San Diego with an engineering degree a long time ago. And I'm going to say the thing that really shifted my focus and my career, my passion, was actually seeing Buckminster Fuller speak. Gosh, it was when I was a high school student. My dad said, "You got to come hear this guy talk." And for some of the cartographers in the audience here, that they're going to know Bucky, and he did these 3- and 4-hour tours of the universe, but always it was stunning what he said. But at that time, I'm not even sure I knew what he was saying, but I knew it was important, and it clearly got me on a path looking globally, really looking at the big global issues, what was wanted and needed in the world to make a more sustainable planet. And out of that, about 10 years later, I read his book, Critical Path, and on page 206, for those of you that want to find it, there's a global gaming question that he posed called the World Game. The long question around that, and Quentin, can we, where's that home page for GENI?
Yes.
Is that up here?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll show you.
Oh, okay.
All right. Can they see this website now?
Show my screen. Yes.
Is that good? All right. All right, good. So a little over 25 years ago, I launched this initiative. It was one of those you started in a bedroom, and it ultimately takes you around the world. This is the work that we've been doing for over a quarter of a century, based on that question at the top. The short version of that is, how do you provide a decent living standard for everybody on the planet sustainably? That's the core question. I could take you through the long Q&A, but the #1 answer to that is clean energy for everybody on the planet. You and I have plenty of energy, and then in North America, Europe, problem is most of it comes from some sort of polluting fuel or toxic substance as a consequence. So we live well, but we are some of the biggest polluters in the world now, right along with China. The #1 answer to that was to link renewable energy resources around the world. So build renewables at scale, wind farms, solar farms, geothermal. You'll see that that's some of the work that we're going to show you today to build these resources on every continent, and then to link them up with high voltage transmission. So AC, high voltage AC, high voltage DC is essentially that freeway for electricity, to link up that renewable so that wherever you flip a switch, it becomes a clean electron versus a dirty one. So that's the simple explanation from it. If you go a little bit deeper on this website, let's go in. Mm-hmm. Those are the main benefits. Did I lose you? No. I'm going to do that because this leads right into Quentin. So that's again, that's our work, and it's and I'll let your audience get into the website deeper. What has happened in the last several years, we moved into this new facility in San Diego called the World Resource Sim Center, also based on Bucky's idea of needing a venue. And let's switch to that. Needing a venue to get together, grapple with the hard issues of our time, visualize the past trends, the future projections in all the visual multimedia ways, and hopefully come to more sustainable decisions quicker. So that's the venue that we're in now. We've been here 2.5 years right in the heart of downtown San Diego. We have been blessed with interns from all over the world and locally. Quentin here is one of those phenomenal volunteers. We call him intern, but I guess he's just graduated. He'll tell you that. One of our great GIS research associates that's really upped our game, and we'll explain that a little bit more and how he's done that. So it's been terrific to have Quentin really enable us to take some of the mapping that we've done with previous students on renewables in America, India, China, and now he's helping us take that to the world with the Online Explorer. So Quentin, tell him your background.
Okay, so my name's Quentin Gregg, and I started interning here, like Peter said, 2 months ago. And I was at UCLA. It just graduated in June, and I was studying geography and with a GIS minor. And so I came back to San Diego, where I grew up, and I was looking for places to intern, and SimCenter was a great place to come. They had a lot of GIS documents that they have been working on, and I'll print that up. This is a planned San Diego mission that they was working on over the summer.
Right.
And so when the previous interns were working with GIS, they exported their ArcMap products as JPEGs or PDFs, which are great, and I've used them in my classes. But what my task was when I came here was to find a way to take these static outputs and make them into a map application that can be interactive for a public user or for a coworker who doesn't have the software.
That was it. And we're showing you this because this was the product of Paula, Edgar, and one other student. Gosh, I forget his name. I'm sorry. That when we were looking at a lot of the issues in San Diego, we get material. We get our data from San GIS locally. We really wanted to break it into a decision-making community. So we were starting to build these layered maps for the energy decision maker, for the ones that are working on transportation issues, working on water issues. And this was the output that we created for the user conference this summer, and obviously again put into a PDF format. And it was really a great quality work. We love what the students did, but doesn't make it accessible in a layered, clickable way to other users beyond S3 account holders. So then what Paula did, we'll show you one. This was, and we'll come back to this later, this was that, that PDF map that we did for the transportation sector that showed everything, and that's the challenge, is when you show everything on a map, you almost can see nothing. So that was I'm going to say that's the problem. And what we'd like to do, I guess, is share Quentin's lessons learned, and I think successes. It's not complete yet. What we're going to show you are some of the maps that we've taken from our from our ArcMap onto the online, and I think it's for us, it's really made our maps and our work available in India, available in China, across the U.S. for some of the things that you're going to see. We haven't really published them yet because they're not complete, but I'm very excited about what he's done for our work. So let's jump in and show him.
Okay, and also to be clear, the application we're using is ArcGIS Online with a free personal account, which any of us can, I'm sure plenty of you already have them. You can link your Esri Global account to ArcGIS Online. And here is, I'll jump into one of our ArcGIS Online maps.
Sure.
So if you go to, I'm showing you this website here because this is something I prepared. That it's a blog, and you can go to it up on top here. It's simcentergis.blogspot.com, and if you want to go there, you'll have access to these links that I prepared, and that kind of shows how easy it is to share these online maps. Once you have a link, you can put the link out to the public, and they don't need to have an account to view it. They just need the link, and they don't need software, and they don't need to pay a cent, and that's really what we were looking for, was a way to share the map with the public where they don't have to have the ArcMap software. So I'm going to click into one of these, and I'll start with the USA renewable energy map.
Okay.
And I'll show you. Here's the ArcGIS Online tool, and we've taken shape files one at a time from our ArcMap products. This is an overview of renewable energy potential in the U.S.
So 3 of the renewable energies,
right, 3.
Plus the transmission system as it exists today. So that's, you're seeing here, if we printed this out and showed it to somebody, they could understand nothing. So let's now, kind of show how we use this.
Right.
And what you did.
And so the first thing right away is ArcGIS Online is a tool for creating a map, and you can share this tool with a user, with a public user, and they can view this. There's just the only challenge is for public user and how intuitive it is for a public user. So, for example, this is the first screen they see, and right away they don't see a legend because it's hidden. If you follow my clicker.
Yeah, follow the clicker. Follow the bouncing arrow.
Yeah. Here's the about the map. Here's a list of contents, and here's the map legend. And so sharing this map, which you can share this map with the public user, but they'd have to know how to find some of these things. And I'll show you. And then this button here is the contents layer where you can really work with the map. And this is why I like sharing this online application, is because the public user can, let's say they don't want to see those transmission lines, they're bogging up the screen. They can take those off, and
let's take off wind.
Take off wind, and then you can just see the entire solar potential for the United States. And then another part of the ArcGIS Online, which is handy.
And just jump in here. So I'm gonna tout the GENI initiative every once in a while here, because this is our work. Obviously, you see the dark red in the southwestern U.S. That's Southern California, Arizona, New Mexico. You have just enormous solar radiation potential there. And if you didn't know this, there's actually enough in that red area to power the world. In terms of solar hitting that every single day, enough solar hitting that in an hour, a small portion of that to power the world electrical needs for everybody. So that's our goal with these maps, is for people in a very public way to understand the potential. And even people in the Pacific, in the northeastern part of the U.S., Pennsylvania, New Jersey, are getting into the solar realm, but it's not the greatest resource. But with the right policies, this is a great map for them to understand how much radiation they're getting. And this is an average radiation over the course of a year. Obviously, it changes month to month, and we haven't created that yet. We will. So this is the solar. Then let's click those off to show.
Right. And real quickly, one great thing about this map is you can configure these pop-ups, and you configure them to show all of the attributes from your attribute table. And I've only selected to retain our GHI, which is global horizontal irradiance. It's a measurement for solar potential.
Yeah.
And
in kilowatt hours per square meter per day.
Yes, I have the unit over here. But I'm going to take off the solar potential and bring on the wood. Oh, I'll keep that.
Okay, take out the solar for a minute. So here's the wind potential of the U.S., and the darker purple is this area, the central part going from Texas all the way up through Wyoming. Enormous potential, 3 times our current needs in the U.S. today could just become from wind alone if we tapped that. So again, another public way of showing wind potential in a clickable map. And do you want to show them any more about this?
And a couple more advantages that I just reminded myself of is being able to zoom in to an area of interest, which you can't do in a PDF or a JPEG, and still have a good resolution. Yes. Yep. Okay. Okay. Good advice. Thank you.
That's right. We remember that from when we were testing it yesterday. We learned that lesson, so we'll remember.
All right. And so let's say you're focused on San Diego. I'm going to zoom in a little more.
Okay, zoom in.
And then that's when you can start bringing in other layers.
Right.
Like I can bring back the electricity transmission lines. I can bring back.
Let them load.
Okay, yeah. I guess when those are loading, I might have a problem with the speaker as well.
Right.
But then let's say you want to, if you also, if you want to change the base map, you don't like the way it's looking on the background. That's just right up here, and that's nice and available. It's not hidden. I like that. And you can change it to. These are your 9 options that ArcGIS Online provides. And imagery is a good one if you want to show satellite imagery.
You know, if you click on this, it's going to reload. And we have to
All right, so yeah, I might not risk changing that up.
Okay.
But now you can see here's areas of the high solar potential, high wind potential, and I can even bring in the geothermal class.
So there you go. And this is our advocacy then, where some of you know there was Sunrise Power Link that just got put in as a third transmission line here from the east to tap some of the solar potential, this wind potential on our mountain ridges, and there's some large geothermal potential that's back in play. We have a report on our website about the 100% renewable potential that could be there just for San Diego, also just for California in our Southern California desert. So that's where we have been pushing as a nonprofit organization, and what Quentin's been doing is making this available in this tool. So is that enough maybe around the U.S. renewable?
Yeah.
Okay.
And once again, all these layers have, you can click on the layer and then a pop-up will appear that you've configured earlier. There's the solar again, but if you wanted to see, and I'm going to pan a little. Yeah. Okay. Right. So GHI is global horizontal irradiance.
It's a solar definition of kilowatt hours per square meter per day. So that's a solar, and is it say it in the legend?
Solar radiation, and all this data is from the National Renewable Energy Laboratory.
NREL US DOE lab, the National Renewable Energy Lab.
And if you click more details, I've included links to their websites that explain more in depth what these solar potential, what GHI is, but it's a measurement of solar potential based on incoming solar radiation.
And the wind maps, when you get into the definition of those, they have to, there's class 5, 6, and 7 winds, and if you're a wind developer, you want good, steady class 5, 6, and 7 winds. So that'll be the definition. Again, we got this national data from the National Renewable Energy Lab, most trustworthy source in the U.S. for this information.
Mm-hmm. And so, so next thing I want to show you is earlier I mentioned how this legend is hidden, and the intuitiveness for the user is pretty good, but you know there's always room for improvement.
Sure.
But that's why I created. If you share the map, and that probably was heavy download, but you can send a link. You can put it on Facebook, tweet it, but then here make a web application. And what this does is it shows a bunch of templates, and let's see if I'm going to see if we can do this with my voice. Here we go. This creates a bunch of templates that you can take your map that you've created, and you can choose to preview it, download it, and publish it. And so I've published this one, and I'm going to close this out to see if I can keep going fast here. And I've already brought it. Let's see.
Is that the one?
Here it comes. Okay. And so this is something you can tailor to the public user to make it more intuitive for them to view. And then going back to the blog spot, I've included that as a link here. Use USA Renewables Map as a web application. So if you want to click on that. So what you lose on the other is the user being able to edit features, because before they could save it to their own ArcGIS Online profile and then start editing features, adding features. But this is still an interactive map. It's an interactive web application that's been tailored to make it more intuitive for users. So you can see that right away the legend is here and it's clear on the left. They have, if they look across this bar at the top, you can see there's a layers option, and that's where you can click their layers on and off and take away certain ones and keep ones on. They can still zoom in. You can look around.
We just zoomed in. We lost some voice.
Oh yeah, that's some yeah. Okay.
Okay.
But once again, what I want to stress is that all I needed was a link to send this to a public user or a coworker who doesn't have the software, and they don't need an account, they don't need to pay a cent, and they're interacting with this map in a way that you can zoom in and out with keeping high resolution, and they can turn layers on and off and really interact with it like you can in ArcMap, but on ArcGIS Online.
Something we could never do before, and we certainly are. We've been learning this by doing it with Quentin, and had one of the Esri developers in here just the other day when we were doing our geodesign San Diego evening, and gave us coaching on this particular function. So we're thrilled that this is now available, and Esri's providing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then, yes. Great question, because that is something that we really want to show here, is that data doesn't stop at borders, and so.
Well, we haven't connected with the National Renewable Energy Lab of Mexico, and what you want is a similar data set in every country, ideally, and I'm going to say that's something that there's only 196 countries to get this similar data from. Some have it more available and much more public than others. That's always my frustration, is this data sometimes just does stop at the border, because that's what you have from, from a national source. Same thing when we show you sand GIS maps. That data ends at the border. Clearly, the solar extends heavily into northern Mexico, and they actually have a stronger resource potential than we do because they're closer to the equator. We talked with Rupert about that.
Yes.
His name was Rupert Essinger, and I know he explained it a little better than I could, but if you can get a similar data set, you can merge or marry up these up so you have one continuous map of North America rather than just the United States and Ireland.
Okay, right. And so it's up to us to, in ArcMap, take a data set that covers U.S. and Mexico, and you can use a tool like merge, or you can import them both into your online map application, and so that would continue the data into Mexico. One of the things I've learned is that the more data sets, or the more shapefiles that you're putting into your ArcGIS Online map, the slower it goes. So I was worried. So I'm just like we said earlier. This is we haven't published these out to the public yet. We're still working on these.
Yeah, these are projects in development, but we're close, because there's other map layers here that haven't been imported yet. You've got to import them one at a time still. Mm-hmm. So you're taking them from your existing file. I don't know if you want to show that step now.
I'll show that step now. Yeah.
Okay, good. So you have to take it from your existing file and move them in one at a time and make sure the conversion is done cleanly. Right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, show them that.
Okay, and so this was the online application that we made from ArcGIS Online, and then so when you're in ArcMap and you're creating your shape files, your computer stores. After you just navigate to where you've saved them in My Computer, you can see all the files that make up your shapefile. And this is from our San Diego transit map right now, and I'm just going to maybe bring that up real quick.
Sure.
So I hope you can see that. This is the San Diego transit map from earlier that was a JPEG before, that we took the shapefiles, we saved the shapefiles, and we had to put them into, I'll show you in a second, we put them into zipped folders, and we put it into ArcGIS Online. So going back to My Computer, the coaster shapefile is, as you know, as a GIS user knows, those shapefiles that you have in our catalog are made up of many smaller files that are all stored in My Computer. And so here are all my files for the coaster, which is a public transportation option in San Diego. It takes us from downtown to North County along the coast. The coaster,
right?
Well named. Yeah, but so what I did was I had to take all of these files that make up my coaster shapefile and send them to a I zipped them up. I zipped them up into a zipped folder, and I created this coaster ArcGIS Online zipped folder, and so that's what you're going to use when you go back into ArcGIS Online, and you go up to Add. And then you can, there's multiple ways to add data, but I was doing a lot of shapefile adding, which is a big one. And you would choose your file here and then navigate, and then you would navigate to where you save that zipped folder. And then so you need to zip up all those files that make up the Arc Catalog shapefile, and then import that here. Now, one thing that the Esri rep who came in the other day reminded me is that it's not all zipped shapefiles. What's really nice about ArcGIS Online is that you can see here you can import a CSV file, some input, save it as a CSV, and so that way you don't even have to go into ArcMap if you have a CSV file with it could either have latitude and longitude coordinates, or it could have addresses, and then it will geocode for you, which it says right here. And once again, it's also reminding us of a limitation that.
So this is an important limitation.
Yeah, this is an important limitation.
Let's speak about that.
So one of the important limitations with using a free personal account to make ArcGIS Online maps is that the shape files you're importing or the CSV files you're importing have to have less than 1,000 features. So one thing, so there's ways to get it, but there's there's creative ways to massage your data in ArcMap to get it to go into ArcGIS Online. And let's see. So one thing I did, let's see. I'm going to go back to this map real quick because I want to show how I put this electricity transmission line. Let's get that back. Okay. Hopefully that didn't take too much of a toll on the voice, but I want to show how I got these electricity transmission line shapefile into ArcGIS Online. So it came way more than 1,000 features. And so what I did was I used a tool. I used the dissolve tool, and I dissolved by how many kilovolts the line can carry. Yep. And so all the 500 kilovolt lines became just one feature in the electricity transmission lines shapefile. And so I took it from over 1,000 features down to just, I think there were five. There are 5 different kilovolt levels in that shapefile I had, and the data I had. So that allowed me to import it into ArcGIS Online because I took it below 1,000 feature. Going back here, and then the dissolve tool, and then it allows you to keep data from your attribute table, which is really important because, as we know, the data in your attribute table is so key to GIS. That's what really unlocks all the power. Instead of just having that visual layer, you have all that data underneath, and then again you show that in ArcGIS Online by configuring these pop-ups, and yeah.
So now you can click on the coaster, right?
Right. So I'm going to click on this coaster line, and earlier I configured this pop-up, and I included some multimedia, I guess. Yeah. So this time I chose not to show the attributes that came in ArcMap. I named it. I gave it some writing, and I included an image that also includes a link that goes to the coaster website. If you clicked on the image, it would take you to the coaster website. Yeah,
it'll take you to the coaster.
It takes you there. And let's see. But if you wanted to show data from your attribute table, I'll take you to, let's see. I'll see what I have behind these transit lines. Let's see. Okay. Oh yes.
So using hosted featured services.
And does that come with the free personal account, or is that one that you have to have paid subscription for? Oh, okay. Okay.
And also,
that's good advice.
Also, if you want to go beyond that number of features, so that if you don't want to be limited by that, you get an upgrade, or you pay for a little bit more of an upgrade on Explorer, and you can have unlimited features. So that's you don't have to zip everything down.
Right. There is a paid subscription option.
Right.
Or there's also an ArcGIS for organizations, which for a little bit of payment, you get a little more range
more
to work with. Yeah.
Okay.
More functionality.
So we're back at the San Diego transit map that Again, earlier you saw just a PDF, which is impossible to really see what's going on. Let's just go down to My University so that we can go back to just click things off so we don't see everything at the same time. And this is, I think, how the user starts to appreciate the value of a layered map. There's the red is the trolley line in San Diego. The blue is the coaster. And then if we zoom in a little bit.
Want to go in here?
Yeah, go ahead and zoom in. Let it build. So this is the loop going around University City and the University of California campus. So it is that availability of doing layered mapping and showing it and sharing it that wasn't available before to the general public, I'll say. So we're thrilled that we're now able to do this, and Quentin has been our, really our guinea pig is the wrong word. He's been our trainer. He's done this, learned this by doing, and done great work. So let's jump to a couple others, just a couple of examples.
And then this next example will better show how you have attribute table information in your map. So this is a map of India's solar potential, and then instead of including wind and geothermal in this map, I've included India's 10 most populous cities, and then we go to the legend, solar plants that are existing and under construction, and then you can also include map notes, which is this arrow here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Okay, and so then the person who receives this map can start finding out more about what's on the map. They can click the arrow and see what the map note is. It's talking about about the future, if it's in the works, and I've linked an article, and if built, it'll be the biggest solar power plant in the world. But then also, if you want to see more stuff about an attribute table, let's click one of these operational solar plants. And so I've included information from the attribute table here about what type of solar power plant it is, the technology it's using, its status, its capacity, and there's its coordinates as well. And so that's a good way, and I configured that to make sure it's what it looks like, because there's other stuff in your attribute table that maybe you don't want a public user to see, and because it won't mean much to them. So I've kept all the pertinent information.
Okay.
And they can do that for one of these cities as well. See the population. The transition lines are here too.
That's it. And our goal again is we've done a report. If you can go back to I don't want you to go back to the GENI site. Well, actually, why don't we for just a second? So I'm gonna. If you go back to the GENI site here, one of the things that we've been doing for the last several years with many students are these 100% energy, and there's at least a couple dozen. We haven't finished publishing them all. The most important ones we did earlier on were in. Okay, sorry. So this is our 100% renewable energy report site that features these, I'll call them simple roadmaps for the renewable potential of China, the renewable potential of India. I'm not going to click on this because these are large PDFs that load. And then the idea is, along with that which when that report is done, we push that to the policymakers, the key energy officials throughout the country. Now what we want.
What's that? You can close that one out now.
Close it? Okay. What we want to do is, in a way, finish the GIS maps that we've built earlier. And who was the person that did this? The India ones? Do you remember?
Stacy.
Stacy. All right. So Stacy did these solar. This is I believe we have solar, wind, geothermal for India. Some transmission. The focus, obviously, of our work is how do you shift energy from fossil fuels, which they're very much like the U.S. as well. They're about 2/3 fossil fuel and about 1/3 hydro, with a growing wind and solar sector, but it's still a small sliver of their energy pie. We want to encourage that country and all of those energy managers in that country to see the potential. And if you go in here closer, and I zoom in. So if you're building, and I believe this is a solar map, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're building solar in India, if you're a developer, if you're a planner, that's your highest solar radiation as it happens to be. Now, there's good solar radiation all around it, but what you're looking for, just like here in California, are 365 good sunny days a year if you can, and that's what that would be a way to identify optimal, optimal locations, and to do it in an online tool that the public can see, the policymakers can see, that the media can see. So that's our goal here. Do we want to show any more on India?
Well, just this is also just another example of how I massage data in ArcMap.
Okay.
Because the solar potential data came in from NASA online site, and it came in these tiny pixels that were only a kilometer by a kilometer.
Mm.
And so in ArcMap, it's nice because you get to keep each little square, but ArcGIS Online with a free personal account wouldn't take each little square. So I dissolved them by, you can see on the left here on the legend, you can see I dissolved them by by GHI levels, by, again, the global horizontal radiance measurement of solar potential by those levels. I had to, so I made 5 different features and exported them as that's a great option. There's a lot of good different ways to add more layers to your ArcGIS Online map. And
I see a comment here from Tim Craig. He's our rep here in San Diego, or Southern California, I'm assuming. He says the ArcGIS Online hosted feature services would not be in the free account, but you can also use your own on-premise services. So I hope I said that right, Tim. Thanks. All right, good. So want to move off of India?
Sure. We just wrap up.
Okay, yeah, just about done.
And let's see. We have other map examples.
Did you want
to show?
Did you want to get in? I don't think we wanted to get into. There's some other work that we're doing that gets into ultimately renewable potential of every country around the world, and who's actually 100% and over 70% today. Turns out that Iceland and Norway are 100% renewable. So when people tell me you can't keep the lights on from renewable alone, I always mention those two. Then also Canada, Brazil, New Zealand, and Portugal are also 70% and above. Most of them have been using hydro for that bulk, but if you get into Portugal, a lot of that now is wind and solar. So that's the and then the interesting part here about this time zone map is when you understand really the change of demand over the course of a 24-hour day. We found that the huge demand for energy in the world is in three main, I'll call it segments of time zones. It's the North American 2 time zones here. There's very little demand for energy right now in Africa, except if you get down into South Africa, but all of that demand comes in the European time zones. And then when you get a population map, you see that half of the world lives in India, China, Southeast Asia, and this particular time zone is exploding in growth right now because this is China, Korea, your ASEAN nations. So we have these load leveling challenges that we're really wanting to do as you link transmission, which just makes all generation more efficient and allows you to tap remote renewables, whether they be in your country or in a neighboring country.
And here's the ArcGIS Online.
And is that where?
And then just below that map is the ArcGIS Online version of those two JPEGs that we just saw.
We're gonna click it.
It's a big one.
Okay, if we click and open that, you're gonna lose our voices, so we're not gonna do that.
But if you're at the site, you can click it, open it, save it to your account, edit it.
Well, that's an important thing.
Yeah.
So when they open it in their own in the Explorer platform, if they save it, then they can edit it themselves now.
Yeah, and ArcGIS Online, if you save it to your own My Content folder, then you can edit it yourself.
So now you have a collaborative potential with somebody who doesn't own the software right now, but can add value, add content, and again, I think it's a great new thing that we've been able to share our work, and Esri's made that available, and we're thrilled to have their partnership.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, beautiful.
A Mexico renewable energy map. I got it. So that's a photo. It looks like it says photostate.gov library. So that's always the challenge. Is sometimes we'll actually take a high resolution photo, and if we can, georeference it and put it in. That's sometimes all you have for some countries are these sort of continental maps, and then you do your best to then color code it. I'm always encouraging all our GIS students to use the color scheme, the coloration used by the industry. So if we're showing solar maps, we're always going to use the National Renewable Energy Lab solar coloration, because it's just that's what the industry sees. It always frosts me when somebody just says, well, let's use our own color scheme, and it just it sort of is a whiplash for anybody that's in the industry. So that's also an important aspect of this, and to use and I didn't see this yet, but always use icons that really represent what the image is. Because you can change your icon to a windmill, or a windmill, or a little solar farm might be the sun. When you start just having circles and triangles and the like, I personally get lost when I have too many of those on a single map. But if you put a windmill there and you put a solar farm there, it's real quickly easy to see what you're looking at. And we didn't have a chance to do that this morning, but that's where we move with these icons as well.
So I haven't used open layers, but there's other ways to massage your data that are free, like QGIS. Is that kind of what we're talking about? Right. So I was mainly using Esri products to make these maps.
And just so you're aware, I'm also interested, if this is a possibility, to build some of these and try them out on Google Earth. That's an incredibly public program that all of us just have on our desktops. That it's ubiquitous, and I want to make sure at least our work is available to the maximum number of people. Now, we haven't done that yet, so I don't know how that will work. I don't have any interns or students that have brought that capacity, but we want to look at other widely distributed platforms to show, in this case, to show the renewable potential of India, because if they can get it, if whatever platform that they're using, I want to have them see that potential. So it's not something we've done yet, but I'm happy if anybody has that experience, they could send us an email and show us how.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you both. And if anybody's ever back down in San Diego, please please come see us. This is our space. We're right next to City Hall in downtown. It's we think the best visualization, strategic planning, training venue in Southern California, if you're not in the military. So we know SPAWAR has better, but for the kind of work that you do in terms of planning, urban planning, design, roads, water systems, we host a Geodesign San Diego event every month to really look at new tools and new ways of using things. So please join us next time you're in San Diego.
And thank you, everybody who attended the webinar.